today I have the great joy of inviting Erika Chavarria. She's a teacher at Wild Lake High School. She is a racial and social justice advocate, and she is the founder of the Kamiya Community Care, a grassroots effort. And so I'm just going to launch right in, and I'm going to ask her, I've got her with us this morning, and I'm going to ask her a few questions so we can get a little bit more familiar with who she is and the work that she's been doing here locally in Columbia. So Erika, I just want to start with the obvious question, which is, how did Kamiya Community Care come into being?
Well, first, thank you so much for having me. I'm really honored to be here. And that was a beautiful discussion about Earth Day. I think before I start about Kamiya Community Care, I think it's interesting that it seems that Mother Earth is cleansing itself in the midst of COVID-19. Maybe that was an intentional, we were on a path of destruction of Mother Earth, and Mother Earth had enough and said, you know what, I'm gonna stop and I'm gonna re-cleanse. So that's maybe one shining light in this terrible crisis we're going through, but there's stories all across this world right now about ways in which the earth is cleansing. And so I think that was beautiful to hear. So thank you. So Kamiya Community Care, to be honest, I'm a teacher first and foremost. My students are the loves of my life. And I, before school was gonna close, we were anticipating the closing of schools, and a lot of students were expressing to me about their fears about what was going to happen. A lot of my students provide for their families in certain ways. If by working, they were worried about employment. They were worried about where they were going to be able to find food, because a lot of my students also rely on the school lunches and breakfasts as a way to feed themselves and stay sustained. And you know, what we're seeing now, I think it's important to mention, is not just because of this crisis. This is a manifestation in a heightened level of the injustices and the inequities that we see in society every day. And so now it's just so in our face because it's happening to anybody. It can happen to anybody at this point. And those who were barely hanging on before are certainly not hanging on now. It's very difficult for many folks. So I knew that my students were going to be, and their families were going to be in even tougher times, the ones that share with me, you know, what they struggle through on a day-to-day basis. And so I actually just posted on Facebook a couple of days before the schools were going to close. Would anyone like to, you know, provide support for our families and deliver some meals? And I had about 40 people respond saying that they would like to. And then when schools did close, I actually just decided to start a Facebook group. I woke up one morning and was like, you know, let me try to make this more structured and see if we can get a group going. And I wanted it to be Kamiya Community Care because I'm a very big advocate for restorative justice. And one of the things in restorative justice is really about, you think about self-care because you need to take care of yourself in order to help others, but really it's the sense of community care. It's not just self-care, it's caring for community. And so that's how the idea of Kamiya Community Care came about. And I just invited 40 people that had responded, of my friends and those who are doing this kind of work in the community on a day-to-day basis anyway. And from there, it has exploded and blossomed into over 3,000 members, and it is what it is today. I never, in my wildest dreams, imagined that it would be what it is when I first started from one just post.
So let's talk about that. So what is it? Tell us what Kamiya Community Care is really doing in the community right now. Like if someone says like, well, what are you guys doing? What would you want to share with folks about that?
So there are two major operations happening at the same time. And then there's a lot of little things going on the Facebook page. I actually don't even, I try to go through all the posts on the Facebook page, but it's really difficult at this point. But there's a lot of stuff going on there. But the two major operations is we have 5 sites that we've set up at various schools across the county. And Swansfield is sort of our home base. We open at 10:30 on Monday through Saturday at Swansfield. Folks start coming in and dropping off donations. We start organizing. We have volunteers, one volunteer from each of our other sites come to Swansfield, collect any extra donations, and then head off to their sites. And then volunteers are at our other sites setting up for the day. So we have these 5 sites where we give out, we provide donations of food and household items and educational activities and baby products and, cleaning supplies and anything that we are able to collect in donations, we provide. And so that's happening at, Swansfield Elementary School, Wild Lake Middle School, Oakland Mills Middle School, Lake Elkhorn Middle School, and Howard High School. We've already had solicitations to try to get other schools opened in different areas of the county. If we are able to do that, Long Reach would be next on our list. And then maybe Duckett's Lane in the Laurel area. And then simultaneously from the sites, we are also doing individual home deliveries of groceries for families who are not able to leave their homes, who are too afraid to leave their homes, or for whatever reason are unable to get to our sites during that time span. And so that's an entire separate operation. We have, right now, we just finished our first batch of about 400 families that we have provided groceries for. And we are on our second phase because we started a new system. Our second phase, we are, I think, up to our 109th. If we make it through today, we'll have done 109 from that new batch. So after today, we will have delivered about 500 groceries to families.
Wow, that's magnificent. And that's all local numbers. That's right. These are our neighbors that you're talking about. These are people in our neighborhoods. These are people right here in Columbia. So as a community, Oneness CSL really is committed to being communal and caring for a community. And so your title is really inspiring for us. But one of the questions I think everybody's wondering in our stream and in our community is, how could our members support Columbia Community Care?
So there are many ways to support, and you can support from the comfort of your own home or out in the community. So we are always looking for volunteers for our sites to help set up, we call them site volunteers, to help set up our tables and to be there from 11:30 to 1:30, facilitating the handing out of donations. We also are looking for interpreters we want at least one interpreter per site as well. So that's one way to.
And what kind of interpreting are you welcoming?
Mainly Spanish speakers, but we do have French, and I've seen several Russian families as well. How
are you serving the deaf community? Like, have you found yourselves serving the deaf community?
I'm sorry. Yeah, we've had offers for folks to do ASL interpreting, and we would absolutely welcome that. I haven't in my own presence at the sites. That hasn't been something that I've noticed, but of course I wasn't particularly looking for it. So I mean, we've had offers, and we welcome anyone who has any particular skill, ability, or something to offer. Everybody has something to offer, and we welcome all of it. So yeah,
awesome.
We have ASL.
Sweet. Well, and so, I want to announce to the community. So the Board of Trustees met this week and had a discussion about your work. And you're already aware of this, but our community is finding out for the first time this morning that Oneness Center for Spiritual Living Columbia has chosen to make a contribution of $1,000 to your efforts here in Columbia. And we're so excited to be able to do that because we know we're putting it right into the hands of community members, and those resources are going directly to the people that are in need. And I think sometimes, part of this conversation that I've been paying attention to closely is how do larger systems and how do grassroots efforts complement each other and get the job done and all this kind of stuff. And what I know is that in times of crisis, the fastest way to provide dignity and to uplift human beings is to listen to them about what their needs are. And I've noticed that you guys do that. And so we're so excited to be able to contribute to you, to be able to have that kind of style of engagement with our community. And so before I let you go here this morning, I'm going to ask you one last question, because, one of the things that we love is to be able to have like a real heart-centered connection to the work that we engage with. And so if there's just a short story that you can tell us about some powerful impact that you feel that your work has made from an experience that you've had in doing this work, what would you share with our community this morning about just maybe one instance where the impact of your work was really deeply meaningful for you?
Sure. Thank you. I mean, I think generally the most beautiful thing I've seen is when folks who are receiving donations find ways in which they can give back also. This is truly the meaning of mutual and community aid. So in community care. And so we've had folks who are standing in line who received donations who have then in turn come back to help volunteer their time at our sites and to do some interpreting as well. That really touched me because I think that is the true spirit of community and this true spirit of Columbia. But one particular story is that there was a person who is very close to giving birth, and she was in desperate need of supplies. I think that there's been some unemployment in her family because of this crisis, and I put out an urgent call on Facebook for somebody to grab what she needed because she wasn't able to find it at one of our sites. We had someone reply within seconds. They made her this amazing, like, huge basket of things for an expected mother and for her other baby and for her baby that's going to be born. And just the knowing how de-stressed she felt after, knowing that she had what she needed to be prepared to go to the hospital, because right now for expectant mothers, it is terrifying. They don't know if they're going to have their spouse to be able to come into the room, what's going to happen with their baby when they have the baby, and just being in a hospital right now is terrifying. So just to be able to know that she was able to have a little bit of relief in this highly stressful time for her was really touching. And we have vowed to stay friends and in touch. And when all this, is over, to go meet each other and really get to be together and meet the baby. And that was really special for me. I consider her a deep, close friend, even though I barely know her.
Awesome. Erika, our community is so blessed to have you in just here, just to have you and to have you be committed and to be engaging and to say yes and to just give yourself so willingly and so beautifully to the community. I'm so grateful for you joining us this morning. Thank you for coming and talking to our community. We look forward to working with you guys more and more as this thing continues to slug on. And at the end of the day, I'm just really touched by the way that you have said yes to a vision in you to serve your community. I'm really touched by your vision for what community means. And I'm really grateful for the reciprocity that I hear in the way that you talk about dealing with folks who have and dealing with folks who don't have, and what it means to kind of engage that sacred communal thing that we call circulation, and to do it really consciously. So thank you so much for taking the time to be with us this morning. I invite you to hang out with us in the chat and talk to post all of your links and get everybody to go there. And Oneness, if you haven't had a chance, you're watching this on Facebook, which means you've got Facebook. So you can take yourself to Columbia Community Care. You just search it in your search bar. It's the first thing that comes up, and you'll see there that even the way that the work is getting done is deeply communal. It's inspiring additional things. There's a bunch of offshoots of folks that are just meeting each other in that space and having resources and going and doing stuff too. So whatever it is in you that's calling you to be engaged, now's the time to be engaged, even like this, even from behind our desk, even virtually in the way we do it, or if you're someone who's still out there in the world, social distancing responsibly, but still engaging, there is something for you. When you have all that sense of caring in you, there is an avenue for that caring to express itself. And Columbia Community Care is this magnificent channel through which some of that stuff is flowing. So thank you so much, Erika, for being here. We appreciate all of your efforts, and we look forward to talking to you more in the future.
So much appreciated. Much love.
Much love. Peace.
Peace.